All right. Well, good afternoon. My name is Pashara Black. I'm the PR and content marketing manager at StrongKey. We're a cybersecurity startup located both in the East Coast as well as the West Coast. We have a Cupertino office and a Durham, North Carolina office in the Research Triangle Park. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about my first year in cybersecurity, tackling imposter syndrome, as well as collaborating between technical and non-technical teams, and then a few key takeaways. So before I dig in, this is a little bit about StrongKey and the company I work for. These are our focus areas within cybersecurity. And these are a few of the partners that we work with, either organizations we're members of or organizations we've partnered with. We're currently actually a part of the FIDO Alliance's Authenticate conference right now, happening simultaneously with Women in Tech Festival. So it's a popular time for conferences. And to tell you a little bit about myself, I've been a working professional now for a little over 8 years, 2 of those focusing in the tech industry. I transitioned from economic development marketing to cybersecurity marketing, which was a huge leap. But I've kept a focus in the event space for the majority of my career. In my current role, I also focus on things like our educational webinars, community outreach through cybersecurity meetups and things of that nature, as well as content management, such as our blogs and white papers. I'm a graduate of North Carolina A&T State University, the largest historically Black college in the nation, as well as one of the top producers of Black engineers in the nation. I served in the Peace Corps as a community economic development volunteer for transitioning to cybersecurity. And I was just awarded a 40 under 40 award for the Triangle Business Journal for 2020. So to back up a little bit, I want to paint a picture of kind of where my career roadmap has gone, because I'm often asked, how in the world did I end up in cybersecurity? How did I get here? Such a unique and specific skill set. So I mentioned I started in economic development. This is an economic development firm I was working for in Washington, D.C. From there, transitioned to Peace Corps, where I was focusing on economic development on more of a global scale. And then coming back to Durham, North Carolina, where I currently am, where I work for the local Chamber of Commerce, focusing on local economic development again. And where I am currently working in marketing for StrongKey, a cybersecurity startup. And that transition pretty much took place because a lot of the skills that I had developed in the economic development world were really transitional for me in this marketing role, in this external facing role. But there were some important things that I still needed to learn, and there were still definitely some learning curves. So when I first started at StrongKey, my manager at the time said to me, prepare to drink from the fire hose. And that's a phrase I've heard quite a few times within tech. And there couldn't be truer words. There's a whole new language. It's a completely different set of skills and individuals that you're working with. This is me here at a data privacy session we were having at a super huge law firm, and I'm coming in and all these new acronyms. So it was definitely a big change. So a few of my year one takeaways that have been really helpful for me, first and foremost, learning the language. I mentioned there's tons of acronyms. There are just certain things you can't get around. You really have to buckle down and understand what it is that your engineering team is doing and what it is that they're talking about if you're truly going to translate that value. Networking, I was able to draw on a really rich technical community within the Research Triangle Park. We have some huge tech companies here, a lot of groups like Women in Tech, Women in Cybersecurity, ISSA. So being able to network and find mentors within those groups has been really helpful. You can't just survive in tech. You have to thrive. Anyone who's been in a tech company for any amount of time knows it's a highly competitive environment, highly intelligent environment, which is one of the things that makes it so great. So it's definitely not a role that you just, or an industry rather, that you just come into and coast through. You have to be prepared to roll your sleeves up. remaining a forever student. I think this is really important because technology is ever evolving. It's one of the most exciting things about it. The areas of cybersecurity that my company was focusing on when I first started and what we're focusing on present day are completely different. And it's because we're learning more, we're evolving our technology. And so then that requires me to evolve as well in my role, and then build on what you already know. I talked about a lot of the skill sets I had from event planning, from marketing, translating. I just had to figure out how to fit that into the puzzle of my current startup environment. And so even with all of that, even with those tools and going home and, trying to study and things like that, there are still those days where, you just want to pull your hair out. And it's like, okay, what am I really doing here? Especially something like marketing, which can sometimes be abstract. It can be a little tough trying to connect the work that you're doing to the product, because that's really why we're here. And so, what I've found to be the best tool to combat imposter syndrome is to be prepared. I am someone who likes to be super organized and, likes to go home and study my work and see how I can improve, see how I can get better at something. It's not every day, but there are some days where, I am working a little later because I know that I have that learning curve because it's a new industry for me. It won't be this way forever, but I understand that the work I'm doing now is imperative for the years to come for me in my career. And a few other things that I think are really important when it comes to imposter syndrome, which I realize I didn't give particularly a definition of it, but pretty much is when you're in a space and you feel that you aren't qualified to be there or aren't supposed to be there. And this is something that really resonates, particularly within the tech industry. So first and foremost, celebrate your background. Your company knows who they hired. They know what your experience is and they know what skill set it is that you're bringing to the table. So celebrate that and learn how to grow that and use that as a foundation for the work you're doing. Definitely be honest from day one. I'm the first one in a meeting to raise my hand and say, I don't understand that, or I'm not sure what that is, or can you tell me a little bit more about that? I find personally that our engineering team is very open to, non-technical folks coming to them and asking for explanations on how things work. It's all for the betterment of the product and the service and the company. So, be honest about it. And then know what you're good at and what you're not. I am diligent about these are my skill sets. These are the areas where I draw strength, but I also know who on my team is good at things that I'm not. And that's okay. They may be areas that I'm growing into. They may be things that fall outside of my scope of work, but I understand where I shine and where others shine. And this is our mascot Cypher for StrongKey. I love to give him little thought bubbles because he's so intelligent. But take a moment to think to yourself, what is your elevator pitch for what you bring to the company? I think a lot of times we focus on the elevator pitch for what our company does, but what's your personal elevator pitch? I think that's really important, especially when you're in a larger company. Sometimes you'll meet a higher up and they may ask you, so what do you do for XYZ company? And you want to be prepared to eloquently state that. So collaborating between technical and non-technical teams. This is a big part of my work. I'm in an external facing role, so it's really important that I'm able to translate what our technical team is doing and to sing the praises of our company. So I think that this is really vital. Going back to the learning the language piece, learning the basics. You have to have a basic understanding of the technology. That's just a given. There's no way around that. And without that foundation, everything else will be in vain. Keeping an open door, something that we particularly do within StrongKey. Our engineering team is always welcome to listen in on sales meetings, and vice versa if the non-technical teams would like to listen in on engineering meetings. We may not on the different teams have something to add right in that moment, but at least listening in, learning the jargon, seeing what the other team is up to, it really helps, especially in this day and time with COVID and everyone kind of working remotely. Call a spade a spade. I love that phrase. That just goes back to knowing what you know and what you don't know. It's okay. It's okay if something still confuses you about the technology. I just can't stress that enough. And I think it's so important to be okay with speaking up and coming forward about that, so that you can grow in it. Tech is such an amazing industry where people come from many different backgrounds, and so many companies are willing to train people up and teach them the technology as long as they have those foundational soft skills in place, right? So be comfortable coming in, needing those training wheels. um, for someone like myself who has really tried to excel in my career, it was a little tough at first. It was a little tough to be the person that kind of needed to be handheld through certain things because I just didn't know. But you'll be better for it. And then give props. It's nothing wrong with giving a little compliment. One time I was working with someone on our technical team, cleaning up a slide deck for a presentation for them. And they came back to me and said, wow, I could have never put that together so nicely. Thank you so much. It just looks very clean. And I feel like you really helped me convey what it is I'm trying to say. And that meant so much to me because I'm looking at this person thinking, wow, they're creating this amazing product. They're so good at what they do, but knowing that I see value in their work and they see value in my work means a lot. And it lets me know that we're all here as a team and we're here for one mission. Um, and then recognizing the value you bring and getting comfortable with communicating that. You have experiences that you're bringing, and that's one of the most amazing things when it comes to diversity within a company, whether it's women, men, race, or whatever it is that someone identifies as, their background that they come from. All of those various experiences, you bring that to the table with you in your work environment, and they have value. So be comfortable speaking up about those things. And then get social. So things like company happy hours, virtual happy hours, which is something we personally do at StrongKey, virtual, game nights or whatever it may be, fitness challenges, those various things that your company offers, get involved. You never know who you may be able to connect with in that way that will very well likely spill over into your work. So definitely look into the ways to get social with your colleagues. Believe it or not, that 15 minutes flew by. I'm going to share my key takeaways from my chat and then where you all can connect with me. Non-technical roles are just as vital to company success as technical roles. Always remember that. Yes, we're here for the technology. We need the product. We need the service. It's amazing what the technical teams do. But the work that non-technical teams do, whether it's the marketing side, the sales side, the operation side that keeps the ship going, it all fits into a larger picture. So it's important to understand what these different functions do and how they bring value. Remember what drew you to tech. I love this because when I first joined, which I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, it was the first job I had with such a relaxed environment where a t-shirt and jeans is pretty much the uniform and the work environment is cool and we're having like free beer on these days and different activities and things. And it was just really, really eye-opening that this is how a workplace could be when I first came to tech. So, draw on that. I know we're in a very unique place right now with COVID, all at home, and we're not really sure what will happen past this, but, we'll get there. Tech is an innovative industry and we'll continue to find ways to innovate and make it a great industry to be in. It's less about learning how to be technical and more about being ready to adapt and overcome. And I say that because You don't need to learn every in and out of the technology in order to be successful in a non-technical role. What you do need to learn how to do is to be able to adapt as the technology evolves, because it will. You want it to evolve, you want it to get better, you want it to improve, um, and you need to be ready to adapt with those things. Make sure the company values match your personal values. I think that's really important because not all tech companies are one size fit all. If there's someone out there that's within a tech company and maybe it isn't the right fit for you, just know that there are others out there and you can find ones that align with your values. And I think that's one of the fundamentally most important things about choosing a company to work for. And bonus, have an entrepreneurial spirit, particularly for me within a startup. I wear many hats, and so having that entrepreneurial spirit takes you a long way. So thank you all for tuning in to my talk today. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to send me an email, pashara.black@strongkey.com. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn at the same name. And thank you, Women in Tech Festival and Silicon Valley Forum, for allowing me to speak today.